Anyway, again, thank you for being here. Thank you for your interest in New Dramatists and our company membership in our 7-year residency program. Before we leap in, I would love to introduce ourselves. In the interest of time and the unwieldiness of Zoom, for the attendees, please populate the chat with your name, your pronouns if you wish to share them, where you're Zooming from. And then while we're doing that, I would like our panelists today, or this is just the people who are here to help respond to your questions about the process. I will let them introduce themselves, but we have Connie Hall and Kara Lee Corthron, who's a longtime affiliate of New Dramatists. She's a recent alum. She was a resident playwright. She was our Princess Grace Fellow. She kind of can talk from many points of view about this process. And John Steber, who's the director of the Playwrights Lab. So I'll go ahead. I just introduced you, but Connie, do you want to say what you'll be covering today?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Connie Hall. I'm Literary Services Manager, and I'll be basically covering the application process. And I am always available on email. My email is admissions@newdramatists.org.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kara. As Emily said, I'm an alum. And I think I'll be answering questions mostly as they relate to the adjudication process, but also anything that comes up that I can be helpful on, I will.
Thank you. John?
Hi, I'm John Steber. It seems like my video is not working, so that's why you don't see me. And I'm the lab director, and can answer any questions that come up about the lab. Nice to see everybody.
It's a nice big group. And Erica?
Oh, hi everyone. My name's Erica Pajonas. I'm a current intern at New Dramatists, so happy to see you all.
All right, thank you, team. So I'm going to start. I'm going to cover a historical overview of New Dramatists, and then again, we'll sort of be responding to your interests and questions. We began holding these sessions years ago with to explain and demystify the admissions process and field questions you may have about the residency itself. And again, that's a place where Kara can really speak to that experience, and John as well. But this is really your session. I feel like, we want to make this as dynamic as possible and respond to what you're interested in knowing, while also making sure that we cover pertinent information about the guidelines and application. Last year, we made quite a few adjustments to really streamline and make the process more user-friendly. And I'm happy to say we're keeping all of those things intact. So there are still some modifications, some tweaks that we made. We learn a lot every year, but the basic ones, we're not going to throw any curveballs. They will remain intact. As I said, the people comprising our panel today will be able to address most questions, but if something comes up that we can't answer, we'll just investigate it further and get back to you with a response as soon as possible. So a quick historical overview of New Dramatists. It was founded in 1949 by playwright Michaela O'Hara in association with Broadway luminaries of the time, including Howard Lindsay, Richard Rogers, Russell Crouse, Oscar Hammerstein II, John Golden, Moss Hart, Maxwell Anderson, John Wharton, Robert E. Sherwood, and Elmer Rice. Some of the names might be familiar, but it comprised a group of producers and makers and lawyers. They really responded to this vision that Michaela had about a company of playwrights who were each working on their own plays, but learning and sharing resources with fellow playwrights. They thought it was just a crazy enough idea to invest in it. And really, they were very well resourced. And I mean that in the broadest sense of the word. And so that was part of what they could provide for playwrights. Things like observerships, because there had no MFA programs or any other options for playwrights beyond Broadway. There were no play or playwright development centers. Her desire was really to learn about the profession, about the craft, but from other writers. And so those, the New Dramatists Committee helped provide resources, like, as I said, observerships of how playwrights worked in rehearsal. They went to see shows together. They had writing space. They would read their work together around tables. And so that's really how this organization started. And certainly much has changed since then, but our mission is really rooted in that founding vision. We offer playwrights time and space to develop and explore their work, craft, and process on their own terms and in the company of other playwrights. And the goal is really that you do that and make lasting contributions to the American theater, you know. That's our very simple mission. Our admissions process has also evolved over time and often in response to feedback from applicants, committee members, resident playwrights. Technology, of course, has changed much of how we do things, you know, going digital, for example. And it's now an almost year-round process and starts with the opening of the submissions window, which Connie will talk a little bit about, but just to make it easy, the window opens on July 21st and will close at 11:59 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time on August 4th. So it's about a 2-week window which you can submit your materials. Committee. The committee changes completely every year, and by extension, so does the definition of what New Dramatists is. The staff does not participate in decision-making. We facilitate a process for these intrepid 7 people, usually combining current resident playwrights, alums, and outside professionals who are tasked with reading and evaluating the submissions and then meeting together 3 times to discuss. They make recommendations about what they're reading. They meet together 3 times. They discuss the work and ultimately winnow the list and determine an incoming cohort. This year, we will again bring in a cohort of 5 new resident playwrights. So they're also, I think, through the course of their reading and their conversations, their shared values, are defining what New Dramatists is to them. That is part of their job. There's no imposed organizational criteria for what a New Dramatist playwright is. It's really divined from inside of that committee every single year. Also, I would add that the new in New Dramatists is more spirit, not career status. You know, it's not for new is just the sort of spirit of new, the work you're doing. Yes, New Dramatist is for, I'm just referring to my notes, for any playwright for whom 7 years of time, space, and a company of peer playwrights and an extended artistic community is what you need or would benefit you in the making of your work. The goal of the committee is to select by consensus an incoming group of, well, as I said, 5 playwrights this year to whom New Dramatists offers time, space to make your work for 7 years. And to achieve this goal, they commit to undertaking a very rigorous reading schedule of 10 plays every 2 weeks. Kara can speak to this. Evaluating the plays, making recommendations, as I said, and then they bring those recommendations to the table for those in-person meetings, which tend to be January, March, sometimes it's early April, and then early June. Yeah. I think I already, so they also their goal, they're choosing writers, not plays. The committee is not looking for plays to produce or to program a season. They're reading for the sparks elicited by the writers and writers for whom they are strong feelings about what they're doing, what they're up to, and the values that they can collectively share for the theater. That's sort of how the consensus starts to form. And again, I would invite Kara to speak to that as well. Yeah, so it's not like they're not looking for the best plays. They're looking for plays that move them, that excite them, that they want to see, you know, they want to select to make work for the theater that they're hoping to see as well. The residencies are investments, not rewards. It's a very, very thoughtfully deliberated and considered process. And of course, it's a difficult one, as there are always more talented playwrights that than we can support at any given time. So that's also comes with the territory. I mean, it would be so much easier if there were like 5 really good playwrights in the group and they pick them, but that isn't what it is. It's a much more large, exciting group of writers. So so it's a big undertaking. That's my overview. Are there any questions about what I just said?
Hi,
Anything?
Emily. We did have a
Yes.
question in the chat, which is
Great.
how experienced are the fellows you pick usually? Does it tend to be people who have had production readings, etc.? I'm beginning playwright, so trying to figure out if she's the target audience for this. And that's from Isadora.
Okay, great. Thanks, Isadora. It's a great question. Well, Kara, do you want to
Want me
speak to
to?
that?
I totally
Sure.
can. Happy
Thank
to.
you.
Great question. There is no target audience. Like, I know that's probably hard to believe, but there's absolutely no target audience. You can submit if you've had several productions, if you've had 0 productions. It's absolutely up to you if you are passionate about being a part of this community. There is no target audience. We don't know until we're actually reading who is going to spark to us for our different reasons. But so yeah, you don't have to worry about that. It's all about you and if you want to actually commit and try for this.
Thank you. I would also add to that, because I think this is a common question. I think it's a good question. You know, as I said, New Dramatists is for playwrights. It is for professional playwrights. It's for playwrights who are writing plays for the stage. It is for people, writers who need space, time, community to make their work. None of the sort of any kind of career accolades are part of the decision-making process, right? Again, I think to Kara's point, the committee is looking to be moved, to be surprised, to sort of have your work kind of catch fire for them. So I think that is what drives the process, is strength of feeling. That's what I was looking for, not how many productions you've had, or if you've had any productions or awards. Those are actually not really considered in the process at all, as far as decision making. It is really looking, to Kara's point, that spark and excitement about your work. And then what they can decide on as by consensus as a group. But I think what drives the each individual in the process is the strength of feeling from committee members. I hope that answers your question, Isadora, and probably others as well. Anything else question-wise about anything I've said? Great, thank you, Isadora. Okay, Connie, do you want to talk through some of the practical stuff? And
Yes, I'd love to. Hi, everybody. So nice to see your little thumbnails out there. I would love to just sort of step you through the application process. All of the information is available to you at newdramatists.org/admissions. That's where the guidelines are. We ask that the first thing you do be to download the guidelines for resident company. That basically gives you a sense of what the residency entails and what it is you're applying for, what's expected of you, and what you can expect from us in very, very basic outline form. But again, all of that is on newdramatists.org/admissions. First, download that document at the bottom of the page. And then you're basically gonna be able to go through and follow through on the website, steps you should take. Cecilia, I see a question for you. I'm gonna just give my spiel, and then I'm gonna go back to your questions afterwards. So it's okay, go ahead and populate if questions pop, but I'm just gonna try to give you the overview first. The first thing is eligibility requirements. As Emily mentioned, there is no set criteria by New Dramatists for what makes a good play or a good playwright. That is something that is determined by the committee each year, and that is part of the process of renewal for new dramatists, that it's really their subjectivities, their interests, their values, and their ability to uphold those things for one another. That is what really drives the process, a consensus-based process. So the only real eligibility requirements is that you're based in the United States. So we have some specific information about that if you have questions, if you're an immigrant. And we do have, requests that if you're outside of New York City, that you have the availability to participate in programs. So really the only criteria is that you have 2 full-length plays. So again, no restriction on career stage, on form, on genre. It's really based on the panel and what they respond to. But I would love to remind you all that what they are responding to is the words on the page. That is the basis for evaluation. They are looking at the script documents, and that's what they're looking at for 98% of the process. It's not until the very end of the final meeting that they're looking at composition of the entire class, that they're looking at candidacy, and where they're really bringing up those questions that that Isadora brought up about career stage, about are you ready for the fellowship? Are you, and these are questions that the panel asks themselves and one another. Questions of access, questions of the timing of the residency, questions of need. These are questions that do come up, but they are dynamic questions. And, it may be that one committee really believes that we should have within the composition of one class, someone who's very advanced in their career stage, and someone who's really ready to launch, and who really needs a launching pad. New Dramatists can serve as a community hub, as a launching pad, and as a sanctuary from the pressures of the industry. So people of all career stages have found something. And it changes throughout their career. You can begin, early in your career, and by the end, you're mid-career, or whatever that means. Hopefully it doesn't go in reverse. So those are the 2 documents that are required. The other document that is required for you to upload to the application is a bio or resume, but this is really just for verification purposes. It is almost rarely even referenced in the process. It's just to verify you are who you say you are, and if there's any questions about, it's really almost just for us to just cover our tracks, that we have just, some information about you, but it's really not part of the evaluation process, if that makes sense. Only the very, very, very end. So don't obsess too much about your resume, is my advice, if I'm allowed to give advice. Let's see. So the panel changes completely each year. So, and we take great care never to circulate your plays. If we have volunteer alumni who are reading alongside the panel in the initial round, we make sure that your materials aren't circulated to the same readers in subsequent years, so you can feel comfortable that your plays are being evaluated by a different set of eyes each year. I've had some questions about, are librettos admissible? Yes, they are. Had a question about co-written work, and it is possible to submit co-written work, but really we would only recommend that if you were actually applying as a team, and we really are set up and geared towards individual residencies. So if that's something you think you want to attempt, please give us the heads up, because we should probably talk through what that might mean. Okay, so beginning on July 21st, the application will be open. As last year, you no longer have to have an account on the New Dramatists website. This is a third-party form, so you will just go to the website, click begin application, the form will open up. You'll enter your name and contact information, you'll confirm your eligibility, and then it's really just upload those 3 documents, click that you've read our privacy policy, and then click submit, and that's it. I can step through it at the end of this meeting. If there's anyone who would like me to do that, I can hang on at the end and open up a test application and step you through it so you can really see it's really that simple, for those of you who didn't apply last year. I have had some questions about formatting the documents. There's a handy checklist on the website. Did you, before you upload your scripts, please check, but I will underscore some of that right now. Most people now are reading your materials on their devices, so it is kind of handy to have a nice big title on the first page. Most important thing, obviously, is that you remove your name from the document. Please also remove your name from the file name of the document. Please also remove your name from the file properties of the document. Sometimes if you register the software or, your name might appear in the properties. So please check that and remove it before you upload those scripts. Please include a character list. Please include page numbers. These are all things that panelists have actually requested of us in years past, and it's because if you can imagine reading upwards of 160 scripts, it's really just do everything you can to help the panelists keep track of what play they're reading, make sure that the title appears in the document, that the characters appear in the document, that the pages are numbered. Again, panelists are evaluating based on the words in the page. So if there's, if you are submitting a script that really depends on staging or music or physicality, or there's something tonally that might not come through in the words, and you might not, that might be something you would talk about in conversation with a director or choreographer or designer. Try to put it in the script, because they're really just looking at the words on the page. They're not clicking hyperlinks. They're not visiting samples, so they're not getting those visual cues. Again, so you're going to click that button on the website, and our advice to you is to gather those 3 documents ahead of time and upload them all in one session. You can return if you've begun an applicant in a browser and you open that browser back up again, it will probably ask you if you want to continue. So, but that's not really something that we have control over. So you should be able to edit an application in process, but we don't advise it. The window will close on August 4th at 11:59 p.m. and that is a hard cutoff. I don't want to be rude, but if you are in progress, it will automatically shut. So don't think that you can just like start an application and you'll be able to finish, because it is a hard cutoff at 11:59. And I think that's enough overview spiel. Let me go back and look at the questions and see.
I can help with that too, Connie. I was keeping track. Going back to Cecilia's question about if you work primarily in collaborative media, like writing opera, libretti, or books, lyrics for musicals, would the committee like to see those works, or is this fellowship focused only on folks who write straight plays? We can speak to that, but I also certainly invite Kara to, if that's where you work, you can submit those. You can certainly submit books to musical. Go ahead, Kara.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like Connie was saying, everything that we evaluate is on the page. So if you send a full book or libretti, we will read that and evaluate it the same as if we were reading a play. So that's totally up to you. I sometimes people would send like files of music, which you can also do, but really just try to keep everything that matters to you on the page.
Yes, and then also just to add to that, once you're at New Dramatists, you work on what you want to work on. So in terms of musicals, or people have worked on memoirs, you know, they've worked on screenplays, they've worked on plays. So there's no sort of mandate that once you become a resident of New Dramatists, you work on only plays. You know, this is a writers' organization, and obviously for a lot of reasons, people find the expression for their stories in multiple genre, and we certainly welcome that as part of your work and during your residency time. I hope that's helpful. That was Cecilia. Let's see, Amanda, define full length. This is great. We say an experience that constitutes a full night in the theater. So it's not necessarily page specific or even time specific, but they're not short plays, they're full experiences that an audience would have with your work. And you know, you bring up that you work with a lot of movement. I think how that's described, it would help bring the committee to imagining that experience with you as they're reading. We have had a writer in the past whose plays looked short just because there was a kind of activated silence that was very much a part of their aesthetic, and that was read and experienced and imagined by the committee. It was Joe Goodrich, just for anybody who knows Joe. His plays are on the page, look very schematic and very kind of economical, but they really do constitute a full experience. They're just a few pages. So I hope is that helpful, Amanda? You can let us know. Candice, oh, thank you, Eden, for putting the requirements. The location requirement is not changed. No, it's the same. We're still a national organization. I think what's important to mention here is that within the 5 to 7 is what our parameters have been in the past. We had received word from our Writers Executive Committee that they wanted to keep a ratio of about 70% in the New York metropolitan area and 30 maybe as national members. And obviously people go back and forth and travel in 7 years, but essentially to keep that 70 to 75% in town and 30 to 25%, you know, national. That's because our resources are really here in New York in terms of time, in terms of space, in terms of the way we gather the community. So, so with a 5-person cohort, it tends to be maybe 1 person is a national member. So that's I hope that makes sense, just to maintain the same ratio of in-town and national. Kara, you unmuted. Did you want to say something about that?
Oh, no,
Oh.
I think I just
Okay.
unmuted, so I'd be ready. But...
Thank you. Thank you. And yes, thanks again, Eden, for putting those up there. Angela asked, in the event we are not selected, do you allow people to reapply? And if so, when can we reapply again? I would say we not only let you, we encourage you to. I mean, it's sort of, again, it's a different committee every year. They don't know how many times you've applied. They don't, it's a new committee. You're meeting them for the first time. They're meeting you for the first time. So we encourage it. When we get 583 applications and bring in a cohort of 5, that is a very, very stark, you know, statistic. And so, and again, there are more good writers than we could possibly bring in as a cohort. So yes, we encourage you to reapply. You never know when you're going to meet your committee. It could be next year. So, and if it doesn't cost you anything, then apply. Just apply and go about keep making your work, and
Yeah.
hopefully you meet your committee. Go ahead, Kara.
Sure, I was going to piggyback on that. I didn't really understand the meet your committee until I was actually on the committee. Like I had heard that and was like, what is that? Okay. It really does not matter. Like you could potentially take the same 2 plays, apply 4 times in a row, be rejected in the first round each time, apply the following year without any rewrites and be accepted. There's no, it's not related. It's not related because every year it's totally different and every year New Dramatists will be different as a result of that. So they really are your committee.
Thank you.
I also just want to make a plug for applying again, is that there's a hidden benefit in just having your play read by somebody, and you never know what kind of advocacy is taking place behind the scenes just with, you know, if you apply 20 years in a row, that's 20 people who have read your work. And quite possibly people who've responded really favorably and have been advocating for you. So, you know, you've already accomplished something by, I know that there can be a feeling of futility in it, but you're getting your work out there. Just a plug.
Thank you. That's a great point, Connie. Thanks. Summer asks, are we looking for contrasting plays in the A and B? I would say what we're looking for is 2 plays that you feel represent you and that you feel excited about. And hopefully that's what catches the attention of the committee as well. So sometimes people will submit contrasting plays to show a range, but that's really up to you. I don't know if you want to say anything about that, Kara, having
Yeah, I think that I wouldn't look for that. I don't think you need to. It's really just about what you're proudest of, what you feel like is most representative of how you write and your perspective on the world. Because I feel like there have been some instances where you can tell maybe people did that and it didn't necessarily help them. So I just wouldn't even think about it. It's just about 2 plays that are great, that you love and you want to share with everyone.
Yeah, I think, yes, and I'm going to kind of hit that that bell a little harder too. It's like, don't second guess the committee. You can't possibly do it. I mean, for your sake, go with what really in your gut, you're like, this is what I love this. This is my work. I love it. And I want, hopefully other people will love it too. It's really kind of making the focus on you and leading with your own strength of feeling, you know. I hope that is helpful. I hope we you know, hammered that in successfully. And Angela also asked, do you require references? No, in fact, not at all.
Can I tack on to that, Emily?
Yes, please.
Because in the Princess Grace fellowship application, we do require references. And that maybe is where that might have come from. So I just wanted to mention that's a difference in the application for the 1 season fellowship with Princess Grace and the 7-year residency. I didn't really get into the circulation process. In the years past, we did accept, many years ago, we took letters of recommendation from current resident writers, and the way that has evolved over time now is that current resident writers, once all of the applications are submitted, we circulate a list of the full list of applicants to the current resident writers, and they have the option to advocate. And all that does is guarantees that your A and B plays are read in the initial round. And in that initial round, reading is blind. And just like shoving that in here because I didn't mention it earlier. And then after after all of the A plays have been read, we go into the second round, and at that point, then on the agenda for the second round, the panelists have the names in front of them. So it is blind the initial round. And B plays will be read by recommended applicants in the initial round.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We go, okay, Sabiana, did you see your question? Did you get your question answered, or do you want me to elaborate a little bit on that? Elaborate?
Yes, please elaborate a little if you can.
Okay, so Sabiana asked if we recommend that that you playwrights submit plays that have been produced or new plays. Thank you. I would again say go with what you feel, again, a kind of your own passion for. It does, it's I don't want this to sound snarky. It's irrelevant if they're really produced or new. I think it's really what you feel the strongest about. Because again, a produced play, that the fact that it's produced isn't really part of the conversation. I mean, if somebody's seen it, it might come up, but again, I think it's still being evaluated as a script and on those terms. And again, I would just reiterate and emphasize and stress the importance of you submitting what you feel the strongest about what's representing you now as a writer. Is that fair, Kara? Do you want to?
I think 100%. I agree with all that.
Is that helpful, Sabiana? Satisfying anyway?
Can I
Yes,
chime in
thank you.
to Saviana to say that the people on the panel are people like you? You know, that it's so if you can think about how you would feel reading a new play or a produced play, right? It's you're a writer and it's being read by writers, by theater makers without any kind of pressure to produce. And that's something that New Dramatists has kind of incredible freedom in, that we're not producing projects where we're looking for writers as full artists. So the panelists have a different kind of degree of freedom in what they're reading.
My problem was the different one, whether if I submit a produced play, people know who I am. Whether if I submit a new play, they don't. So it's better to be incognito.
That's
Yeah.
that's a fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, honestly, I kind of feel like that doesn't matter because the community is so small that chances are if you had some plays done in the area, somebody has seen them, and that's okay. That is my opinion, because I feel like it didn't really affect anything. It was just one more thing of like, oh, I saw that, I thought this.
Thank you, Karen. This is also a good time to bring this up too, that we asked the committee to be transparent about their limitations or their or their involvement with different people. So if somebody says, look, I read this, I know who it is, I've seen the work, I've worked really closely with them, I would like somebody else to read it, just so that they're getting, you know, as broad and fair an assessment as possible. So that happens too, where somebody's like, I know this too well, it would be really helpful for me to have somebody else read this. So the committee is asked to do that and does, you know, where they'll disclose either their limitations or their, again, proximity and closeness to a writer or to a writer's work. And so then we just get more reads so that it's a conversation that doesn't feel biased in any direction, to the best of our ability. Don asked if you reapply, are we allowed to submit the same play, new version or not? Absolutely. Again, it's being read by a different committee. So it's a new play to them, no matter what. It might not be to you, it is to the committee. If that's, are there page length restrictions? Nope, there are not.
Can I address that really quick?
Yeah.
I will just say, from my perspective, being on the inside, if you've written, you know, 150-page magnum opus, really make sure that's an opus, like, because you're not going to win friends if you're just adding pages to add pages. That's all I'll say.
Okay. Thank you, Kara.
I just want to chime in again, sorry, to say that that's not an eligibility question. It's a competitiveness question.
Yeah, that's
You're
not
not
an
gonna
eligible.
You're not going to get disqualified.
Absolutely do it. That's just my opinion, but you can absolutely do it.
Yeah, we're not going to look at something and say, oh, there's only this number of pages, it's disqualified. It's going to go to a panelist, and then it's a question of competitiveness.
Thank you. Formatting preferences. Mitch Ben, are there formatting preferences, Guild, Trad, Samuel French, etc.? I don't think so. You're not submitting the published plays, right? They're manuscripts that you're submitting. So.
Yeah, the most important thing is that it's clear, I would say.
Mhm. And then this is a question, Angela, and I think others may have the same question. Angela, if we had plans to upload a play to MPX, should we hold off on adding it there so there is no way for the script readers to trace the author? It's an interesting question. I guess I would feel, was somebody about to answer that? I guess my thought would be, I wouldn't want you to hold off necessarily, because that's a really great resource for you too. We'll just tell the committee
Yeah,
not to Google.
if you've removed your author information from the script, I mean, that's going to require some sophisticated Googling on the part of a panelist and or reader, and that's, yeah, as Emily said, I wouldn't want you to restrict
Like
your
postpone
opportunities.
something that's beneficial for you. Yeah. We just trust that the committee is disciplined. Maximilian Kemp asked, if you're selected as a fellow, does New Dramatists provide travel resources for play research? No, we do not. How does it work about, oh, okay, this is a great question, Corey, thank you. How does it work about with the finalists and then writing artistic statements? Connie, you want to cover? And Kara too?
Yes. So at the end of the second meeting is when the panelists determine finalists. At this point, the A and B plays have both been read by at least 2 different panelists, and we are, they've determined a list of approximately 25 finalists. And at that point, at the end of the second meeting, I will reach out to those finalists and request an artistic statement, and it will follow prompts that the committee has a chance to actually look at and modify based on what they're most curious about at that phase. Wouldn't be tailored to the individual likely, but just like they will help to craft a prompt for all of the finalists to respond to. You'll have like 6 to 8 weeks to get it back to me via email. It's very simple.
Great, thank you. I missed the question that Eden had posted about the national residency or living outside of the New York area. Thank you, Eden, for renoting that. And they asked, is there a requirement? I'm sorry, I'm going to scroll back. How much in-person time each year, frequency, duration is typical? It's a great question, and it really is determined and by each person. It's your means, your time, your schedule, where you're located. We do have grant money to help offset travel and housing costs. We work dynamically, but we work with, as soon as a playwright becomes a resident, we will work with you to sort of hear your goals and your ambitions and your desires, and then sort of tailor your residency to respond and support those goals. Included in that is sort of your travel, and our travel grant is connected to work when you're working in the building or working in with New Dramatists in New York City. So we just talk through what those needs are, but each person engages based on their own individual means, schedule, life circumstances. So some people in the past, there was a writer who made frequent short trips, and they were always around work, doing work, and then another somebody was made like one long trip, maybe not every year, but every other year, and long being like 2 or 3 weeks at a time. So it really depends on the person, and there's no requirement from our perspective about that. It's just that you can, and that that it's useful for you. I hope that answers it. Okay, I'm sorry, scrolling down
The question is, are people from New Jersey considered national or New York?
Great question.
Yeah, just whether the tri-state area is New York.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on where in New Jersey, because but I think New Jersey is one of those, it is part of the tri-state area in many respects. And, people that live and work or in the city kind of live in, because they have to, in places in New Jersey or outside of the city. So it could be either, we have, so like this year, this is maybe a concrete example. Within the 5 that we're bringing in coming in September, 1 is New Jersey and 1 lives in rural Virginia. So, and the rural Virginia is clearly a national member, and the other is local, because of where they live. So that's Celia. Okay, Cecilia, okay. Thank you for the useful answers. It sounds like there's strong preference for work that can be fully represented on the page, since the committee will not be able to listen to music or see movement. The takeaway here would be that submitting a libretto, for example, might not be a good choice, since a lot of the work in writing a libretto is thinking towards musicality. Am I understanding that correctly?
You can submit music samples. So
Yes.
those are supplemental materials that you can include.
I mean, what I was saying earlier was that I think you do want the heart of what we read to be on the page, but that can also be the case in librettos. Like, there are great librettos that you can read, even though obviously they're working towards musicality, the language is going to speak for itself.
Yeah. And oh, sorry, did I cut someone off? There have been people who have become resident playwrights at New Dramatists with a submission of a libretto. And I would say Ruth Margraf is that person, at least in my knowledge. So, there's always, there isn't any kind of like ironclad rule about what is or isn't considered or responded to.
Thank you so much. That's helpful.
Oh, you're welcome. Oh, hi, Cecilia.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Okay. I see. Are folks in the tri-state area considered local? Possibly. I think it's just, it's hard to say exactly. But, presumably there's a presumption that in that tri-state area, your access to the city is easier than someone who lives in San Francisco or Florida or, so I think those are things that get discussed in the assembling of it's not like don't apply. It's talked about in the assembling of the group and what that balance is. So I would not use it as an eligibility or, a reason not to apply. It's then, as Connie was saying, in other conversations, it's discussed sort of in that process of assembling a group and making sure that there's balance and consideration of all those things, geography. Do adaptations of public domain material fall under the translations of previously published material? This is from Justin. Adaptations are tricky. I mean, and again, it just because there's always the question of what's the source material and what is your original voice inside of them. That's what I would say about adaptations and the competitiveness of that. Go ahead, Connie, were you gonna?
Oh, I was gonna say the same thing, that again, this is not an eligibility, like they're allowed. It's a question of whether or not the panel is going to consider it your own original work, and if it feels like it relies too heavily on the source material, then it just might not be as competitive. But it is permitted.
Yeah, I was also going to add to that. Think about the distinction between adaptation and inspired by. There's actually a golf. And if you're doing a true adaptation of something, that gets a little dicey. But if you're writing something inspired by, I don't know, a streetcar named Desire, we may not even know that. And that would just be your original work.
Okay. Connie, could you go over the, Amanda is a little bit confused about the residency, current residents getting to advocate for applicants to get their plays read. Can you just go over that again? The
Sure.
advocacy, yeah.
So I'm trying to find yeah. So and you can read this on the website too, under the panel review process section. Basically, after after the application window closes, we circulate a list of all the applicant names to the current resident writers of New Dramatists, and they can select up to 2 applicants that they can advocate for. They just and then all that does is ensures that both the A and B plays by that applicant are read before they can be let go. Does that answer your question, Amanda?
Yes, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Great, thank you. Okay. Brian asks, when submitting plays A and B, should they both be submitted blind? Yes, absolutely. Maximilian asks, what's the main distinction between the 7-year residency and the Princess Grace Fellowship? It appears that latter only requires 1 play submission, has a financial grant, and is only 1-year residency. 7-year residencies do not have provide financial grant, but community support, also 2 script requirement. Yeah, and appears Princess Grace is more for directors and choreographers rather than playwrights. Okay, we'll unpack this a little bit. So the 7-year residency program for New Dramatists is our primary program. We offer 7 years of support. It's time, it's space, it's community. People are paid when when they work and readings and workshops. We have other financial support, again, to offset travel and housing for national members. We also have childcare compensation for playwrights and their collaborators when they are working on their material with New Dramatists. So there is financial support. It's specific to workrooms, and then any kind of offsetting of costs that might prohibit someone from being able to work on their plays or attend meetings or attend other events related to New Dramatists. The Princess Grace Fellowship, Connie, do you want to take that since Connie's the main facilitator of that?
Yeah, so the Princess Grace Fellowship is administered by New Dramatists on behalf of the Princess Grace Foundation. This is the playwriting award for Princess Grace. Princess Grace also has their own set of awards that they give directly. It's a process they adjudicate, and that is for other disciplines. So the Princess Grace Award in playwriting, administered by New Dramatists, is for playwrights. And you can find that information on the New Dramatists website. So they are 2 different sets of application processes. Princess Grace Awards that they administer themselves are a nomination process. The New Dramatist process is open. So we do cap it at 350 because of the financial requirements of that award. But it is an open submission process. It mirrors this one similarly in that you don't have to submit a letter of intent or an artistic statement until you become a finalist. So it's similar in that way. But other than that, your summary is pretty good. Yeah, it's a 1-year residency. The Princess Grace is 1 year, whereas the New Dramatist residency is 7. But the Princess Grace Fellow is a New Dramatist resident for 1 year. And they, it's hoped that the access to the writer community is one of the main benefits, and it's one of the main reasons that the partnership exists between New Dramatists and and the Princess Grace Foundation is that they also share the belief that writers are one another's greatest resources.
And Kara was a former Princess Grace Fellow in addition to a resident, so you can speak to that as well, your own experience.
Yeah, it's different. Like there's a lot of overlap, obviously, but it's also a different thing. As a Princess Grace, it was really exciting. You kind of get feted a little bit. You have this award, and then you can like hang out in Dramatists for a year. And if depending upon what resources they offer, you may be able to take part in those. You'll get a reading at the end of the year. And then that's it. So basically, it's sort of like you get like a sample cookie of New Dramatists as a Princess Grace. And it's really cool and it's exciting. And then you leave, you think, oh, I want that like for longer. And so what happens is then you get it. And it's obviously, a lot of the same resources. But I have to say, I don't know if I'll get to say this another time, of all of the things where people say we are playwright focused, we do what the playwright needs, we give you what you need, what you want. I've never seen it truer than with New Dramatists. There's a lot of hype out there. New Dramatists there's no hype. It's all real. That's all I was saying.
Thank you. Thank you. And we also have another beloved Princess Grace Fellow in the group today, Ray Pamatmat. Ray, do you want to pitch the Princess Grace?
Yeah, hi everyone. I just wanted to say really fast, there is also actually a lot of ongoing resources that the Princess Grace provides. Like I've gotten emergency grants from them. I got a grant to develop a bunch of work at the Flea once. And in addition to that, my Princess Grace cohort was like, I'm still in touch with a couple of choreographers from that group. A set designer. You end up mingling with a lot of artists of other disciplines as well. So it's beyond the New Dramatists thing. I would say if you're eligible for both this year, apply for both. It was totally great. Okay, that's all.
Yeah, and I just want to piggyback on that. Like, yeah, it's two different distinct communities. Obviously there's the overlap, but then as a Princess Grace, you're going to be eligible for lots of things that only former Princess Grace winners are allowed to do. And that's another resource, which is really cool. It just opens your community and people who know who you are and care about you.
Thank you. That's great. Is that so, Maximilian? Good, clear on that. And I think your question about submission windows for the current residency, that's the 7-year program. The window is July 21st to August 4th. The submission window for the Princess Grace Fellowship is March. So they're two different windows. Cecilia asked, I'm sorry if I'm missing anything. Are there preferences about audience for the work? Like, have you had fellows who work primarily in theater for young audiences or who write primarily immersive or site-specific pieces? Yes, I would say maybe not so much theater for young audiences, although plenty of, Kara again writes, novels for TYA, or novels for young audience, YA novels. We've had many makers there are many makers currently in this community, but again, what you need to submit for assessment is something that does register and live on a page. But there are multi practitioners in this community who write and direct or write or choreography, write and perform. So I think we have many different kinds of disciplines commingling in this community.
Emily, I'd like to back up because I think we missed a question from Mary Lynn Owen. Which
I'm sorry. Okay.
Do round B readers ever read the round A material? In other words, are the two plays ever considered together? Because I really didn't give an overview of the circulation process. I just gave an overview of the application process. So just to give a quick encapsulation of how that works. During the initial round, all of the A plays are circulated. We also have some B plays circulated during the initial round. And that reading is all blind. Alumni are reading alongside the panelists during that initial round as well, because we have such a high volume of applicants. So reading is blind. All A plays are guaranteed to be read during the initial round. Some B plays are also read during the initial round, and then they meet. The panel meets and discusses those plays, and they make some major cuts to the list. And then, you know, and this is all a consensus-based decision-making process. It's all done by discussion. And then the remaining applicants, their B plays, more B plays enter the process, and more A reads take place. So yes, even from the very beginning, B plays and A plays are considered from the beginning. But as the process goes on, there's more readers and more reads on both plays. And then the final round, all plays are read by all panelists. So the A and B plays are read by every single panelist. Does that answer your question, Mary?
Thank you. Almost. What I'm wondering about is, I think I was a little confused about something you said a few minutes ago about sometimes B plays are read in addition to A plays. In what you just said, I'm not sure. I guess I'm really wondering what to submit first, because
Your A play.
right, exactly. But which of my plays probably, it seems like A play is sort of a screening measure. Am I right?
That's fair. Yeah, your A plays are read first.
And so I'm a little confused when you say that the B play might also be read in addition to the A play at the beginning. Was that part of the current people who?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Current residents can when an applicant is recommended by a current resident, we guarantee that that B play is also circulated in the initial round. If your A play ignites interest, even if you're not recommended, the B play will also be circulated in the initial round.
Okay. Thank you. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But it won't automatically be circulated.
Yeah.
In the initial round.
Okay.
And frankly, it's partly comes down to weeks in the calendar.
Okay. Thank you.
And also, I know that Dee Davis also was sort of confused a little bit about the recommendations. So Dee, I don't know if, did any of this recent conversation clarify for you? The current NDEs, well, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, my question was, once a list is generated, then it's also given to the current new dramatists, or is it like a semifinalist stage? Is that how that works?
In the very initial, right as soon as the window comes down, we circulate a list of applicants to the current residents. And they will and they have the option to recommend up to 2 applicants, and that guarantees that their B plays are read during the initial round.
Okay, so so when it goes to that level, they would have read the A play. Now they're reading the B play.
This is it's
not the committee. The resident company is different from the committee, the admissions committee.
Oh,
to make sure that's clear.
Oh, okay. So there's basically 2 levels of readers. There's who does the initial?
The current resident playwrights do not read your work. That is just that is their ability to influence the process, and it's very limited. All they do is take a look at the list, and they say, I would like to advocate for this particular writer, and all that does is guarantees that the A and B play are read. They don't read the play.
The committee.
The current residents don't read the play. They just.
So it's based on whether they know the person or not.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Or know of them. I don't know. They're yeah.
Yes. Does that
Yeah.
great? Okay.
I understand. Thank you.
And also, I think it's also important to know, because I hear the questions in the questions, which is that in the first round of reading by the committee and the alumni who support that reading, it's all blind. So no one knows that they're reading an A play or a B play. They're just reading the plays. So I think that's one of the ways to mitigate that kind of knowledge, right, from the committee's point of view. They're just reading all the plays blind. They don't know if it's an A play or a B play, and there are no names attached, if that's helpful. Anything more to say, Kara, about that? Or go ahead, Dee, I see you unmuted.
Oh, yeah. So, but then on the next level, if someone does know you, they can advocate for you, is what you're saying. Or they can say, I want to read more of this person, or to consider this person. Is that correct?
Wait, say that again. Ask the question again.
Beyond the initial reading, that's when, if someone does know you, they can say, I'd like to advocate for this person. Is that correct?
Well,
no, the
it's all
applicants.
based on-
Wait,
go ahead,
Kara.
No, I was just going to say the applicants advocate when the list goes around. So they have nothing to do with evaluating. They don't know where the admissions group is in the process. It's just at the very beginning. They get to say, so-and-so McGee is great. Please read both of their plays. And that's all they are involved in it. So then when those plays are blind and distributed to the readers, we will get two so-and-so McGee's, but we won't know that that's who they're by.
Okay, okay, now I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it was at a later stage. That's what.
Gotcha.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
Connie, was there something else too? Thank you, Dee.
No, I think Kara answered it. I was just gonna say that the responses are based on the plays, and they were blind readings.
Great, thank you. And then, if I'm not missing anywhere, anyone, Nikki asked, how finished does the B play have to be? Kara, do you want to respond to that?
Sure.
I have an answer, but I think,
Okay. I think that you should send what you're passionate about for both plays. And if you notice, I don't use the word finished because I think that's a controversial word. I don't exactly know what that means. I think a lot of people don't know what that means. I've seen Broadway plays that feel absolutely unfinished to me. So it's about like, how does it make you feel? Is it your work? Does this represent you? Is this like, this is a Nikki play? When you get this, you know who Nikki is. Then I think that's what you should send. And I think you should feel that way about both plays, honestly.
And the only thing I would add is, again, I agree with Kara about what's finished, but I do think it should be complete, because we have had, and I will tell you from experience, where somebody sent a partial draft of a B play, and it didn't work in their favor, I would say, unfortunately, because the committee can't really assess it, and they got very frustrated. They wanted more. So complete doesn't have to be finished.
Exactly. Thank you for clarifying that.
No,
yes,
you're
they have
totally
to be a
welcome.
complete play.
Yeah. Yes. And then Isadora asked, do you have a newsletter, or is social media, these little things, main communications channel? We do have an sort of e-calendar, right, Connie?
Yeah, but I
Connie's
don't.
our communications queen.
Is your question about programming? But because yeah, we have a newsletter that recently it's been quarterly, just because we haven't had as many public events. People have been choosing to work in intensive situations with collaborators and just an invited audience, or a small intimate group. So all that to say that our newsletter is kind of, it has tended to be a wrap up of programming and just organizational news that's goes out quarterly. Information about application processes, I tend to directly send to the list of applicants who applied last year and put it on social media. So that's pretty much how I would communicate with you about the window opening. Be social media or the list of applications from last year.
Okay, great. Thank you. And thank you all. Thank you for your comments in the chat.
I see people are starting to leave, and I just wanted to say, you know, you have our emails, but you reach me at admissions@newdramatists.org. I'm happy to answer. We want to be transparent, so please ask. And if anyone is interested in seeing a step through of the form, I'm happy to hang on for a moment and step through that with you. Do we have any other questions?
Great. I'm glad to hear that, Eden. Thank you all. Thank you. I want to thank Kara and John. John Steber he had the leisurely day. No questions came his way. So, but thank you for making the time. Thank you, Kara. Thank you, Connie, for all that you do, and Erica, who had to leave. And thank you all for being here. Thank you for writing plays. Keep writing plays. Keep making theater. And we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you all. Take care.